Mel, what'd you think? What'd you think of Stroud's performance? Talk to us.
Impressed Molly and Stephen A. I think he's in his zone right now. He has been since the Georgia game. He carried that to the combine workout into his pro day. He, like I say, he's just feels it. You can see it. He has that it factor going right now. He's spinning it like no other. He's accurate to all levels. He just looks so confident, supremely confident. And I think when you watched the reaction of Frank Reich and the Carolina Panther organization and what was happening after that workout and the conversations, it looks like one big happy family, didn't it? So, again, it's going to be tough for Bryce Young and Will Levis and Anthony Richardson to top what C.J. Stroud did in terms of those three different venues. A game situation against Georgia, the combine, and now the pro day. You're talking about nailing it. C.J. Stroud did.
Mel Kiper Jr., I love you, buddy. I need your help. I need your help desperately here. Here's the reason why. I mean, we've seen quarterbacks in the past, in recent memory. We've seen Baker Mayfield. We've seen Sam Darnold and others get picked ahead of Josh Allen, for crying out loud. I want you to explain to the viewers out there the value of a pro day. I mean, I don't see a pass rush or anything like that. I don't see people get hit. I mean, talk to us, educate us about why. What goes on that is of such high value to NFL scouts, coaches looking on? Could you explain that to us, please?
That's a great point, because I've said pro days mean nothing over the years. I think these pro days mean a little more because these quarterbacks are so close. But in previous years, to your point, Stephen A., GMs have told me they knew who their quarterback was prior to the pro days. They still went to those pro days for show to not tip their hand on what they may be doing for trade purposes. But they already knew going into pro days, you're throwing against air. It's your deal. It's your day. It's your time. It's your receivers. Everything's on point for you. The private workouts for quarterbacks coming up are much more important to the NFL teams because that's them dictating, okay? So I think that's coming up. So that will be to be determined. But I think when you look at the third quarterback off the board, Lisa mentioned Josh Allen, QB3, Justin Herbert, QB3, Justin Fields, QB4. The quarterbacks that have slipped just a bit have turned out to be really good for the most part. Now, Joe Burrow really good up at number one. Trevor Lawrence real good at number one. So there's no perfect formula, Stephen A. But the point about the combine workout for quarterbacks, not many balls should hit the ground. That was the case with C.J. Stroud. What he did, he kept the momentum going. That's all you can really say about that.
Let me also stay with C.J. Stroud on this one. I'm looking at his numbers. Obviously, he dipped in terms of completion percentage, 71.9 to like 66.3 last season, threw a less amount of touchdowns, threw less yards. You don't seem to have any concern about that whatsoever. Tell us why.
Well, he lost Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, and Jackson Smith and Jigba didn't play much at all. So he had Marvin Harrison Jr. emerge as a big-time weapon. He's going to be a top 3 pick next year, right? Marvin Harrison's son, Hall of Famer. Now you think about Ibuka came on. So he had some weapons, but he didn't have those 3 dynamic performers. He had one great one and one really good one. Before he had 3 that were uncoverable. So I think when you look at all that and you factor it in, his numbers were basically mirrored Bryce Young. Both had basically similar touchdowns. Stroud had 6 more. Now, Young didn't have the receivers he did 2 years ago this year. So that impacted. Both had 12 interceptions the last 2 years. Completion percentage very close. The difference was, Stephen A., 7 rushing touchdowns for Bryce Young, 0 over the last 2 years for C.J. Stroud. When he did show against Georgia, and he said it, and he stated the fact that I can do that. I can take what I did against Georgia, and I can move it forward into the NFL. We should have done it a little more, but I didn't have to. Okay? Now you saw that against Georgia. We didn't see it again from game to game for Ohio State when he was quarterbacking there. The NFL team that drafted, but it's Carolina, whoever, has to feel like that Georgia game will reflect what type of runner, what type of escape ability, what type of basically extending plays and seeing the field on the move, all the things he did against Georgia. We will see that in the NFL.
Mel, I want to go defense because, we do say defense wins championships. You know how much Stephen A. loves Alabama. How about their D end, Will Anderson? What's the ceiling for him?
He's a good one. Now, can he be great? Probably not. I mean, when I say great, special, but he had a heck of a lot of sacks and tackles for loss. Now, he's not the explosive edge guy that a Von Miller or a Myles Garrett is, so he's not going to get you necessarily 18 to 20 sacks a game. He may get you 10 to 12 sacks a game, which is really good for Will Anderson Jr. I think teams now are debating, whether he can be that special elite guy, or is he just the guy who's going to be really, really good? Really, really good you'll be satisfied with. I think Arizona grabs him at pick number 3.
So going high. All right, Mel, appreciate you. We'll be talking to you much, much more these coming months, as not even months. What are we? About how many weeks out? Or 4 weeks out
5.5 weeks, 6 weeks, yeah.
5 weeks, 6 weeks. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.